the script was the king. Navneeth was not the king. Vinod was not the king. It was not about who decided how it fit. It was about how we mutually agreed. Grew up listening to a lot of music directors like Rahman sir, MSV, Ramurthy, Ilayaraja sir, and I grew up listening to their music. They are all film music directors. I always enjoy doing live music, but I also like to incorporate, as I told you, the music technologist side in me likes to incorporate the electronic or technological aspects of music. I saw it as an instrument more than as a toy or as a device for putting it to like MS Word, MS Excel, using those kind of apps. More than that, I saw it as a musical instrument. Here Rahman, he shared the video on social media. And from then on, that was the time when I actually got known to the world as an iPad musician. I like to see smiles on the faces of people. Even as a person, I'm like that. I'm naturally inclined towards making others happy. I love Vicky Jay's music in Telugu also. Anup Roman's. So I like these people's music. I listen to a lot of music. So.
Yeah. Hi Navneeth, welcome to Tollywood. Your film is releasing tomorrow. As a music composer, this will be your first in Telugu. Big day ahead for you.
Yes.
How are you feeling?
Hi Vrinda, thanks for calling me here. And I'm feeling great actually, because this is my entry into Tollywood and I've been looking forward to this moment for a long time now.
Right.
I made my debut in Malayalam, but Telugu debut is always very special because we also watch a lot of Telugu films in Chennai. So I watched a lot of Telugu films. I've listened to a lot of Telugu music and always wanted to, do those typical dance numbers and nice melodies that Telugu is famous for. So I always wanted to be a part of this industry. I'm very happy that tomorrow is going to be my debut into the Telugu film industry.
So are you keeping your fingers crossed?
Yes, very much.
Right. So how did this film happen, Navneeth? What about this film attracted you?
This film happened actually last year. In fact, I think year before last, 2014, I met Vinod. He came to my studio. He was, I got to meet him through my friend Kranti, who was actually working as my assistant at that point. So he brought his friend, he was his classmate, and he said he has a nice story. He is looking for some good music for his film. So that was what he had planned.
Right.
So he came to me and he liked my work. He actually liked my work in my earlier film Buddy in Malayalam.
Right.
So that was how he came to me. Mm-hmm. Then I heard a script. I liked the script very much. It was very honest. It was a very sincere story. There is no much fakeness to it. There's not much. There's nothing to feel bad about in the script. It makes you feel so good. Even as I heard the story, I felt so relaxed, and I'm sure when somebody watches that film, he will instantly connect to that film and he can relate to that particular story, because everybody has some kind of crush and some kind of first love in their lives. So this kind of reflects that part of their life. This kind of reflects every man's story in a single film. So that was a big highlight for me in the film.
Right.
So I always wanted to enter through a nice feel-good romantic story, and I was happy I got that film. So without having a second thought, I just told him I'll do the film. So that was how we started.
Right. So when Vinod first met you, did he have something in mind when he came to you, or did you give him suggestions? Did he want melodies?
He was actually very clear. He went, once I told him yes, once we mutually agreed as to how we are going to go about the execution of the film, he went back. I went to the US. I had a concert tour. So I went there and he came back. 2 months later, he came again to Chennai with an updated version of the script. So he came to me. He told me he has included the songs there, and he had very specific portions for the songs. I mean, it was almost like you could see the entire film. You could see the film in its entirety. When you read the script, it was that clear. Then that was when I got to know how clear Vinod is as a person and as a director. Because the song placements were such, he had an entry, he had an exit from every song. He had how the song goes about in its story, the path of the song, everything he had almost pre-decided. I mean, everything went with the story. There is no song in the film which does not come as a part of the story. Everything flows with the story. So that was something I really liked about, and the more I met Vinod, the more I liked the way he was working as a director and his honesty towards the script.
Right.
And we had about 8 songs. 3 of them are actually short songs. 5 of them are bigger songs. Now, actually, we had only 7 songs. We had 2 short songs and 5 big songs. And during the process of making the film, I used to give him options. He liked one song so much that he said he will actually create a place for that song. And that was a place where I could tell him this will be nice there. And so we actually worked a lot together. We used to have a lot of phone conversations. Right. We spoke, okay, can we change it like this? And he took my suggestions as well.
Right.
He was very open. At the same time, I was very clear as to what he wanted from me.
Right.
So I'll deliver him something, and we will have a mutual discussion as to how it will go with the script. And the script was the king. Namit was not the king. Vinod was not the king. It was not about who decided how it fit. It was about how we mutually agreed what will make the film look good. So that was how we worked in this film. It was like a breeze.
So did you also do the BG for the film?
Yes, I did the BG.
So entire film.
The entire film, yes.
Right. So when you were composing the songs, did you ever have anything which he didn't agree on, and then you had to rework? Was there any song in particular that you can remember?
Not songs in particular. We had differences, obviously. Sometimes I'll feel, why should that be a male song? That can be a female song. Right. I mean, we had those kind of things. And whenever I told him something, he used to take it. He used to consider it, and he'll come back to me if it actually works. He'll think about it. Because I'll probably tell him in a musical term. He'll understand it as a director. I'll explain it to him what I'm talking about. He'll think about it, and he'll come back to me. And then we did, I think pretty much that happened for every song. And we actually shaped the song as the movie went by. Because once we were locked with the melody, then we'll discuss on how to go about the BGMs, what the structure, the graph of the song has to be, and stuff like that. But he was never restricted about the length of the song.
Right.
So if he felt the song actually looks good in this particular length, he'll say, go on.
Right.
He never restricted me, okay, we are running short of time, make the song shorter. He never told me something like that. Okay. In fact, I got an impression whenever I listened to a particular situation that this should be the right length of that. And almost every time I told him this is the right length, he agreed to it.
Right.
So we didn't have any disagreement on that. But regarding the more sophisticated stuff like BGMs, choice of instruments and stuff like that, we used to discuss. And we experimented a lot for this film. I played my iPad also on this film on a couple of places. Even in the BGM, I played the iPad in one of the places. So it was like, we worked together. So it was like that.
Right. I'll come to the iPad a little later. But Guppadanta Prema has really good music. When somebody told me about it, I didn't realize that it was you who composed for it. After I spoke to you is when I realized. So since I've known you as an independent musician, you're popular in that genre. So how difficult or what is challenging about being a music director versus an independent musician?
The challenge is basically who gives you the script. That's the main thing. Even as an independent musician, I am not a singer-songwriter. There's a difference between a singer-songwriter and a music director.
Right.
Most of the guys who do independent music are singer-songwriters who just come up with that's a different art altogether, where they write what they feel. But grew up listening to a lot of music directors like Rahman sir, MSV, Ramurthy, Ilayaraja sir, and I grew up listening to their music. They are all film music directors. So I evolved myself in such a way that I give myself situations and I write music for that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that is, since my evolution is similar to a film music director, I could like adapt to film music quite easily.
Right.
It is like somebody else giving me a situation instead of me myself throwing a situation. So it was like that. So when I started working with Buddy, that is where I actually got to understand how film making and things work in a film industry. So this was not much different from me from that, except that the story is of course different and the situations are different. And so I started enjoying doing this also. I enjoy my stint as an independent musician also. I work with other singer-songwriters. I listen to a lot of their stuff. I love their music, but I also enjoy a lot of film music.
Right. So coming to your iPad, everybody knows that you played so well. You are very, very technologically oriented. Inclined rather. So you're so so much into technology. How did you get that knowledge? How did you get to learn, out of technology? And how did you put it to use?
Well, I have to make a confession here because I am a music technologist. I mean, how do I put it? Because I was...
What is a music technologist? That's the first time I've heard.
Music technologist is some... I came up with this word right now. So basically what I'm trying to tell you is that I was pretty strong in academics even as a child. Right. So I understood music through maths, physics, and the physics behind the music was what attracted me towards music. So that way I was always interested in frequencies and the technological side of music right from the start, right from a very young age. So in fact there was an instance where as a college guy I was invited to talk in Kerala to school children. So this over enthusiastic person in me, actually I spoke about music technology and I was actually asked to talk about music. So I explained to them about frequencies and all, and it was kind of funny when I look back at it because those guys were like school kids, but even many of my singer friends, they make fun of me even now because I used to talk about technology when I was asked to talk about music. So it's like ingrained in me. I always related to music as a technological aspect, although I saw it as an art in a sense because I consider myself an artist first, but I'm also very attracted to the technological aspect of it. So that's why I call myself a music technologist because I like to see any particular thing from two different angles.
Right.
So that way I started off looking at music this way, and I bought my iPad in 2012. So as soon as I got my iPad, it was nice. It's a touch interface. But this music technologist in me actually thought about why not try out different things. What I could relate to it was, it's like playing on an instrument just by your touch. I saw it as an instrument more than as a toy or as a device for putting it to like MS Word, MS Excel, using those kind of apps. More than that, I saw it as a musical instrument. So it's that natural curiosity that sometimes you have, no? So I was attracted towards that aspect of that, right. And I started buying apps like crazy. I used to splurge money on buying the full versions of the apps when free versions were available because I was almost like crazy. People used to say I'm crazy. Why are you going after apps? App after app after app, you should just download and play and figure out what. And one day I chanced upon this app called Animoog. It is made by Moog Music. They are synthesizer giants. They used to make the earliest keyboards in the world. They are still there. They're still big. They're still a very big company. They operate from North Carolina in the US. So I bought that app I think it cost about $30 or something. I'm not sure about the exact price, but I bought that. I started playing on it, and I figured, okay, this sounds very organic. This sounds very unique, very different from what I've heard from a keyboard. And the touch makes it sound like it is not replicatable on a keyboard. What I have been doing till then was play music on a keyboard. But this is something very different from that, and I started exploring it. It felt nice, and I felt some of the elements I heard out of that iPad were reminiscent of Carnatic Sangatis. So I did a small video of me playing Anand Bhairavi. It's a Carnatic raga.
Yeah.
I played it on the iPad and I put it on YouTube. And at that point in time, social media was not like, it's not the in thing for videos. But even at that point, it received thousands of hits on my YouTube page. Yeah. And I was encouraged to do something else. I did Todi, I did thing. And people actually saw me do that. And I started playing iPad in the middle of my keyboard concerts also. I used to play with Rajesh Vaidya sir or whoever. I accompanied Ganesh Kumaresh, and I used to pull out my iPad suddenly and show the crowd, okay, I'm going to play something on the iPad. It used to be a small bit at that point. Right. I slowly started using it in concerts. I used it with Karthik in a concert, and I used to do it with pretty much everybody in all fusion shows. And slowly the concept took off, and for nearly 3 years I was getting better at playing on the iPad also. So at one point it so happened that I did a Desh Tilana on the iPad, and that video went viral. Right. Because A.R. Rahman, he shared the video on social media. And from then on, that was the time when I actually got known to the world as an iPad musician.
Right.
Yeah, so that was my evolution from technology.
Right. So when you compose, do you like live arrangements, like live orchestra while recording, or is it do you like to use more of technology?
That's an interesting question, because I like to use a blend of both, because I am an arranger primarily. Although I am a pianist, I consider myself an organic arranger first, because I like to write symphonies. I like to write my music and give it to the orchestras rather than just program, produce, and work as a keyboard player. Even my songs that I do a lot of live stuff. Right. Because I like the vibe of working with other musicians. So this musical side of me likes to collaborate, work with musicians. Even when I do something, I like to get guys, come on, let's throw in your stuff, and we used to jam and create stuff also. So there are instances where I do that. In fact, there are a lot of instances where I do that. Okay. But I also like to use technology, not in the sense of making your work easy, but I use technology in such a way that it becomes a part of the live orchestra. It becomes integrated with the live music. Because I am a huge fan of live music. Right. And I think that is I believe and hope that that's going to become the future. Because music is usually defined by how live musicians play. That was what music always used to be. Right. Because technology came in different forms, and they got technologies to correct singers' voices. They got technologies to correct musicians playing, so many things. Got so many compressors, all those technical stuff, so many devices came, and sound quality improved. What you hear on your speakers, the final product is now actually way different from what we record in the studio. There is enough technology to modify so many aspects of a song. Right. But at the end of the day, music is meant to touch you. Music is meant to connect to your heart. So that way, I always like the fact that there is somebody playing. When somebody is playing along with you, you always feel it. You always feel the connection, because I was brought up as a live musician. I come from a 100% live background, I should say. My stint in the studio has been much less compared to what my stint in the live circuit has been. Okay. So I always enjoy doing live music, but I also like to incorporate, as I told you, the music technologist side in me likes to incorporate the electronic or technological aspects of music into live music.
Right.
So that's how I see my productions.
Right. And Navneeth, we were talking about playing live. That also reminds me that you also played in a lot of concerts. So what is the best part about playing in a live concert?
The best part of playing in a live concert is that you actually see the audience react to you instantly. Because actually, as a child, what drove me towards music was the fact that whenever I played, there was always somebody enjoying it, and it changed somebody's life. It actually, I mean, it used to change a moment, a sad moment into a happy moment. If it changes for somebody, it actually lets you know that you have changed you have made some soul happy, and it touches you. So that was always a driving force for any artist. So that was my prime motivating factor when I started playing live. And whenever I see somebody happy in the crowd when I play, it always motivates me.
Right.
So I like to see smiles on the faces of people. Even as a person, I'm like that. I'm naturally inclined towards making others happy. Even when I'm not playing, even when I'm just talking, I like to just, if I can do something to make somebody happy, I'll generally go ahead and do it. So that's my personality. So when I can do that through music, that's the best thing, right? So right. I always felt really blessed and grateful for being a musician.
Right.
So the best place to transition that blessing is by playing live. So on stage, when you go, you basically see the crowd. They are eager to see what you can do, and they are happy when you actually do a good performance.
Right.
And even on your bad days, they excuse you for it, because at the end of the day, they just want to listen to music. Nobody judges you. There is no bad feelings on a stage. So that is actually a great place to be. A stage is actually a great place for any artist.
Right.
So that way, I have always been tempted to be on the live stage. In fact, if there is a period where there are no live shows, or if I don't get to interact with people, I tend to get a little restless. Okay, there has to be a show, and whenever a show comes, it's like mind-boggling. It never tires me. Or I can do a 3-hour, 4-hour performance. It just doesn't tire you out. It actually makes you refreshed. You feel so energized, and the next day actually feels so positive.
Right.
So that aspect of live is actually very attractive for an artist.
Right. So at the age of 8, you started playing keyboard. That's a really young age. Where did that interest come in? Interest
came because, as I told you, I had this technology.
Yeah.
As a child, I was very interested in maths and physics. I always used to get 100 on 100 on math and physics in my school. So I liked numbers, I liked frequencies. When I heard music, I somehow got into music theory and stuff at a very young age.
So you said that at the age of 8 you got that interest, but where did that bug, the bug to play keyboard come in?
Okay, actually the bug infested me when I was 6 years old, because I told you I like music, technology and stuff. I used to get 100 on 100 always in math and physics and all in school. So I always understood music as numbers and frequencies, other than art also. I used to admire the connection between the numbers and the sound. It was very attractive to me even at a very young age. So this bug that you told me infected me when I was 6 years old, or I should say actually 4 years old, when my parents got me a small toy. Right. It was like a small pencil box kind of a thing. It had only buttons on it.
Yeah.
And the buttons relate to the white keys on a keyboard. The black keys are not there. So I could tell my parents even at that young age that, Amma, there has to be a note in between these two notes. It is not
missing.
There in this.
Right.
It is missing, because I understood the gap between notes even at a very young age. I didn't know the name. I didn't know Saregamapa. I didn't know CD or Western notations. I didn't know anything at that point. But just by the sound of it, I could tell my parents that there has to be a note in between that. So that
this was even without hearing anybody play.
Yeah, I only heard popular music I was playing on TV, Raja's music and all those things that were playing on TV. I heard my mom used to sing lullabies for me as a young age, at a young age. So that was pretty much what I heard as a child. But at one point, they saw me interest in this playing on the. I used to play anything I heard on TV on that button based thing. I used to shift the music in such a way that I can play it on that small thing. So that inquisitiveness of mine was what made my parents to enroll me into a music class with Mr. Selvaraj Kumar. I used to live in Thoothukudi at that point. So they took me to him, and soon he realized that he couldn't. I mean, I can't be taught formally like they teach other kids, because my way of understanding music was completely different. The way I looked at music was entirely different from the way other kids of my age were looking at music, because I understood numbers. I like the sequential patterns that exist in music theories, and I could sense all of that even at a very young age. So he told my parents, okay, I'm not going to teach him the way a teacher he teaches other students. So he used to come home and he used to tell me the names of the notes I was playing. I was playing on. They got me a small Casio SA1 yellow color when I was a child. So he saw that and he told me, okay, do you know the name of this note? Do you know the name of this note? I said I don't know, and he told me that the letters, the alphabets of the Western notation, and then he told me Saregama Pazani, the relative scale. So he told me this is always there and this is relative to every scale you play. And technical, those basics, very basic stuff he told me. And he taught me something called Sarali Varisai, which Carnatic musicians, they learn first. That's their first lesson when they enter a classroom. So he taught me that. He taught me how to play that. And he told me, okay, this is based on a raga. You find the other ragas based on this. And he told me the patterns as to how ragas are formed in Carnatic music. So I came up with the patterns as to, okay, this has to follow, this has to follow. Since I was mathematically inclined, I told him the 72 combinations without naming them. I didn't know the names, of course. I told them the combinations, and he wrote the names. Okay, you're right, this is the combination. So this raga is called this, and he wrote all the 72 names and asked me to memorize it. So that was my way of, that was his way of teaching me. And I am actually thankful to that, because that inquisitiveness in me has stayed, and that is what drove me to do my music. Because I was inquisitive towards technology, and that was how I was able to instantly take the iPad into my arms and start playing on it. Every aspect of what I do with my music, I will attribute to my teacher, Mr. Selvaraj Kumar, because he was the one who nurtured me to be, and he made me understand music the way I understood it, rather than forcing some other kind of music theory on me.
So Navneeth, you went on to do engineering and then work at Infosys when you realized this is probably not what you wanted to do and you quit. But why didn't you actually think of just sticking on to music and pursuing a career in music than go do a formal education? Was it a backup plan or?
It was not a backup plan. It was my first plan actually, because I was very academically inclined, I should say, as a child, because I was one of the school toppers in my 10th standard, and I got a very high score in my 12th. I got engineering quite comfortably, got into a very good college, Sitarama Engineering College in Chennai. I was comfortably placed, and I did engineering. I did well in my engineering class, got close to 90%. I got placed with Infosys. So I didn't have to struggle for marks or anything, because I was always inclined towards academics as a child, as much as I was inclined towards music. So, but music is an art. Art always, and the fact that my personality is more inclined towards art. I always enjoyed doing my art. I always enjoyed making people happy. So that side of mine naturally drew me towards music. So since I understood music through this, that was how I basically.
Right.
Eventually, music won over me, and I just took up music after I quit Infosys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, who was your inspiration? And what did you learn from them?
My inspiration at a very young age was MSV Ramamurthy, because I grew up listening to their songs really.
Right.
And these two composers are such that if I consider myself really lucky if I am able to compose melodies like 10% of what MSV Ramamurthy, those geniuses, could do, because I really grew up listening to that music. My mom was a singer. She used to sing their songs to me when as a child, and that's how I used to sleep. I never listened to cassettes or tapes before sleeping. She used to sing those songs for me.
Right.
So that was how.
So it's in the genes.
Yeah, you can say that she was a very good singer, and she did some live shows as a young woman. So she did some concerts and live music. So since she sang to me, and I liked the feeling of listening to a tune rather than listening to a produced song. So that aspect also drives me to compose melodies in such a, I'm more inclined towards composing tunes first rather than doing arrangements. Okay. That aspect also comes into me from my mother, because she sang to me as a child. So everything came together to let me be what I am now.
Yeah. So what do you think are the prospects for upcoming music directors? Has the industry opened up to embracing new talent?
The music industry and the movie industry, if you consider these two aspects of industry, because music industry, it's actually very open. Anybody can do whatever they want to do, because music industry is about, outside of the movies, you have an independent music industry which is actually open to everybody. You might be successful, you might not be successful, but you can always do whatever you want to do. You can write your own songs. There are so many singer-songwriters. I love many of them as well, and they do nice stuff. They come up with tunes. They can write whatever they want to do. They can do things that even other people cannot think of. Right. So that thing is always there. But when it comes to movies, movie industry is starting to open up to a lot of these people, because the movies, we have many of the films that come today used to be considered offbeat films 20 years ago, if they came 20 years ago. So today's movie industry is evolving, and the evolution is such that you see bands doing music for films. So that's a very new thing. You don't see the name of a music director as a band. That's something that was inconceivable like 25 years ago. Yeah. But that is now happening, slowly starting to happen. That's because music is starting to become a team effort. It's starting to become a collaborative, collective effort. So anything that creates good music, any source that can bring you good music is now being accepted into film. So that acceptance is starting to come, and it's only a matter of time before we see many new composers, and that's great for the industry. That's great for both the music industry and the movie industry.
Right. So what has been your biggest fear while you entered this industry? Did you ever have any fear?
I didn't fear failure, because if you feared failure, you cannot become an artist. And I didn't have a fear as such. I had concerns as to how, apart from the success aspect of it, success people determine, it's not in our hands. You only worry about what you can do. You don't worry about what is not in your hands. I had concerns about how I can fit myself into the industry, because as I told you, my evolution as a composer is very different from what other composers. You hear of people having worked with Rahman sir, Raja sir for years, ages, and then entering with so much of experience and so much of studio hours behind them. I don't have those kind of luxuries. I've done some sessions with Ilayaraja sir. I've done sessions with Haris Jayaraj, with Yuvan Shankar Raja, but I've not assisted or worked under any composer.
Right.
In fact, I have never worked under Rahman because many of the guys who actually become composers have done a lot of work with Mr. Rahman. But I don't have so many studio hours, so to speak, like what you typically expect of young composers these days. I evolved from a 100% live background, and that evolution shows in my music. Generally, that's how I perceive my music. So I was concerned as to how I will fit myself in, and I figured that wherever there is art, wherever art forms meet together, there is always a way of them coming out together with a good product. So that was how I placed myself when I did my first film, Buddy, in Malayalam. And that was how I saw myself when I did this film, Goppadanta Prema, which is releasing tomorrow. So basically, the thing is that when you are positive and when you think you can do something, you will go and get it. So that's the thing.
Coming back to your film, Goppadanta Prema, you've also sung a song in the film.
I sang 2 songs in the film.
Oh, you sang 2, okay. So one is Kannule Kalaga. So would you want to sing that?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Kannule Kalaga Meri se varamai dorike gatame వెతికే మనసే వాసంతమే మా స్నేహాలలో నవ్వే మది తుల్లే ఓ సంపరమే కేరింతలే మా గానాలలో ఆడే జత కూడే ఆ కెరటాలై తొలి రోజు విడియమే మరు రోజు బంధమే ప్రతిరోజు అందమే ఓహో కొన చూపు రేఖలే తన వేసి ప్రేమలై కుదురేది ప్రాణమే ఓహో ఎవరో ఏంటో మనసే చదివే భాషే నేర్చేది కడే గుడవే పడుతూ ఆమె చెరుతూ మరలా కలిసేది కడే హాయించు రాగాలు యత ప్రేమ కావ్యాలు వర్ణించు కౌళల్యే ఉదయించు సమయాలు పొడి మాట సరితూగక చిరునవ్వు భాష్యాలు మా మైత్రి గీతాలు ఈ ఋతువు పయనాన చిగురించు వర్ణాలు హరివిల్లునే కూర్చగా జడిలా కురిసే తడిసే తడిమే మేఘం వెలుగై నాలో స్మృతులే మధురం మధురం
Wow, your voice is as madhuram as the song is. So yeah, so what was the inspiration when you were composing this song?
Vinod told me that it has to be a singer-songwriter kind of song, because he said feel like an independent musician, feel free to do whatever you want, feel free like a songwriter, feel that energy of college life, think about your college life and you just give me a song. That was all he told me when he gave me this song. He was not into giving you references and stuff like that. It's about he made you work on a song from inside your heart. So I actually just thought about this song and I in fact discussed with him. I asked him for a few words. Ganesh Saladi, he wrote some words for this song and I just composed this tune reading out those lyrics. Like I became a songwriter, singer, songwriter for somebody else's lyrics. So when I do independent music in Tamil, I write my own songs. But this was somebody else's lyrics. I just did a tune. I just opened my phone and just sang the song and captured it, and that is how this song evolved.
Right. So is it important for a music director to get that kind of freedom from the director to compose? Does that give you the leverage to experiment?
Actually, freedom is earned, I would say. Freedom is not something you expect out of a director, because if the director thinks you are good enough to give him suggestions, if you are good enough to come up with your own story for his story, I mean story, I'm talking about story in terms of music, a musical story that can go well with his story, then you basically have earned your freedom with the director. So that was what happened with this film also. He liked the way I worked on this film. He liked the way I was discussing in terms of the story first. We always put the story first for a film. So he liked that aspect of me doing music for this film, and that was how I earned the freedom for this film.
Okay. So did you like the way Vinod has picturized the songs?
Oh yes, brilliantly. Sanjay Loknath is the cinematographer, and the locations were amazing, and the way he has captured it is mind-boggling. I mean, it's brilliant. The colors you see on the screen. In fact, I was so happy to see the trailers of the music videos. That was mind-blowing. I loved the way they were picturized. They were edited. I should talk about the editing as well. It was really superb editing of the story. In fact, I have to tell you, when I started the background score for the film, I was amazed at how true Vinod stuck to his storyline, because what I read on the book, on the script, was what was there on the movie. There were no changes. It was the same. I mean, usually you see movie going through a lot of evolutions and stuff. He was so honest. He was so blatantly honest about the story, and his clarity was what actually bamboozles me, because it was so clear. Even when I initially knew Vinod when he spoke to me, how when we worked together, he was such a clear person and stuff like that. When I saw the movie that came to for background score, it was the same. There were no changes. From scene by scene, the dialogue by dialogue, everything was the same. Right. The script, it was a script, so it was as I had expected it to be, and I really loved that part of the film. And doing music, he was also very clear as to how the music has to progress through the film. Like how we actually sat for 2 full days to discuss about how the music has to shape, how the music has to travel. And then he said, now it's over to you, buddy, and he just left to Hyderabad. I was working in Chennai. So, and of course, the visuals were so inspiring also. Some of the scenes, the performances were very inspiring also. Aditi and Sai have done a brilliant job in whatever they have done. So, the performance, the cinematography, everything was like in place for me to deliver.
I recently met Aditi for an interview, and she was talking about her singing that song Kannulle Kalaga at one of the press meets, and you mailing her. So did you like her voice? I made her sing and I really loved it.
I didn't make her sing yet, but
no, I said I made her sing in the interview.
Oh yeah, right, okay.
So what did you think of her?
I liked her singing because again her voice was she has a very nice bassy voice, very heavy voice that will suit certain kinds of songs, and she's very honest in her rendition, just like, I mean, she sounded how the movie actually looks like. So she's like the voice version of the honesty in the film. Right. If you can put that in perspective, it would be the voice of Aditi Singh. So she actually sang what she felt in that movie. She stuck true to the lyrics. I could feel the words. Right. I don't know much of Telugu, but I know the meaning of the songs because they were all explained to me. Right. Every word was explained to me and the context was explained to me. So I felt whatever I knew about that song in her voice when she sang it. So I thought she really nailed it. Right.
Navneeth, you've always admired Rahman or Ilayaraja Garu or MSV, Ramurthy Garu. So is there anyone in the current generation, current times whom you can vouch for, you think is going to go places, one of those music directors?
I wouldn't say one because there are so many. I like different aspects of different composers these days. I love Santosh Narayan's music. I love the way he experiments with new sounds.
Right. Kabali,
yes. Kabali, of course. superstars film. And I mean, even before he did Kabali, there are so
Right.
many
So-
other films
yes.
that I really love. I love his background score. I love his work. I love Anirudh's music. Especially his recent works have been really impressive. I mean, he's adapted to different kinds of films, and I really like that part of his work. I love G.V. Prakash's music. I love Iman's music. These are all Tamil composers I'm talking about. I love Vicky Jayam's music in Telugu also.
Right.
Anup Ruman's.
Right.
So I like these people's music. I listen to a lot of music. So
Yeah.
these are the
Right.
younger guys that I really love.
Okay. So finally, I wanted to. So you also have a Guinness World Record for.
Limca.
Oh, it's Limca. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have a Limca record for playing on your iPad.
Yeah.
And Rahman Garu also tweeted about this. So
Correct.
would you want to play that for the iDream viewers?
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to be playing one of my most favorite compositions by the legendary violinist Lal Gudi Sri Jayaraman. I always wanted to do his Tilana on the iPad first, and I'm glad that was the one that was tweeted by A.R. Rahman. So I'm going to play it for you now.
Navneeth, that was killer stuff.
Thank you.
I'm at awe right now.
Thank you
So finally, what makes good music or a good song?
Click with the crowd.
Yeah.
Your heart. How much of your heart, how much of the composer's heart is in the song is what matters. Because as a live musician, I know that if you play from your heart, you will reach the crowd. It's the same thing for a production also. Just like a film also. If a film is written from a heart, if it's directed with so much of passion, it will reach the crowd. And it's about how passionate about your art you are. If you're really there, if you like to do your stuff, if you really want to make your crowd happy, you will make the crowd happy. So if you bring about that aspect of yours in your song, if you manage to do that, you will reach the crowd. So that's my belief.
What is it that you're aiming at in life, life in general?
Life in general,
Yeah.
I want to make the world a better place for people through my art, through the way I am, whatever.
Fab.
That's about it.
Great. It was fantastic talking to you, and
Thank
I
you.
hope.
It was great having this chat with you as well.
Right. Thanks a lot, and I hope you make the world a better place with your music and your other things, whatever that you want to do in life. Wishing you all the success for Guppidanta, and hope you get to sign on more projects with this film.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Watch the film, guys. It's coming tomorrow.